Welcome back to USS Cod Submarine Memorial. I'm President Paul Farace, and today we're going to talk about something more philosophical about ship preservation than technical, and that is, should a ship or a submarine like Cod, is it best to preserve it in the water or on land? And that's kind of an esoteric discussion, but one that we certainly have very strong opinions about. First of all, our personal belief is that a submarine is a macho, fighting machine, and it is selling the public on history. And being in the water, and if it's properly maintained and restored, it looks like it can go to sea and engage the enemy at a moment's notice. And if a ship is in the water, that's easily done, rather than if it's in a dry berth, let's say buried in dirt with grass up to it or up on blocks. Certainly, I'll grant that our sisters that are up on blocks, it's certainly an amazing engineering marvel to behold, to see something like a fleet submarine, the large underwater structure. I know the USS Cod, I think, has the best of both worlds. When the Mississippi River is low in Baton Rouge, you can see the entirety of the Fletcher class hull, and other times it's afloat, or at least captured and afloat in the Mississippi River. I know Drum, our grandfather of all the Gato boats, she was moved from a floating exhibition to land. She's up on blocks, and that certainly, again, allows you to see the entirety of the hull. But in terms of actual preservation, corrosion doesn't stop because you're in the dirt. And by in the dirt, I'll include some of our friends like the Hazard up in Nebraska, Kavala down in Texas. Even though you're in ground, corrosion never sleeps. There is galvanic and just plain old rust going on below the turf line. The problem for them is, how do you address it? You literally would have to excavate the ship out, whereas we can let go the mooring lines and, of course, under tow, go to a shipyard, provided we have the money, and that's also a very important consideration. When Cod was serving as a reserve training boat here in Cleveland, she was right here at this dock. She replaced USS Gar, again, which was right here at this dock. When the program ended, the reserve submarine training program ended in 1971, my organization petitioned the Navy to turn Cod over to us. It took us 5 years to raise sufficient money to convince the Navy that that was a good idea. So in January 25th of 1976, we officially received custody of Cod. And lucky for us, the Navy Reserve Training Center no longer needed to house a submarine here. So this portion of the harbor front that they were leasing from the city wasn't going to be tasked with anything else. So they said, look, here's the keys to the fence on the compound. Next month's light bill is up to you guys to pay. So we started out with a boat in relatively good shape, with a nice, secure mooring, in fact, with a parking lot even. So that was a tremendous blessing for us. I know a lot of our sister vessels don't have that. I'm thinking particularly like Orlick, which had to find a new home recently. And, of course, even Battleship Texas, which was looking for a new home. I think by the time you see this, that may be all settled and squared away. But initially, we approached the city, because this is city land, and luckily the then Mayor Ralph Perk, said, Cod is such an important part of Cleveland's history that you will have your dock space free of charge in perpetuity. And that's certainly been a tremendous blessing and still is going forward. But the initial plans for Cod were to bring her up out of the water and put her on the land. Now, the current little bit of property we have is literally a glove fit for a submarine in the water. You might be able to wedge her in on the ground, but as anybody who's seen a fleet sub above water knows, we would create in essence a 5-story black wall, 7 stories by the conning tower, and being adjacent to an airport, having periscopes up into what might be the glide slope wouldn't be a good idea. So we never had the money to actually bring her out of the water. By the time we started generating money, we realized that wasn't a good idea. So keeping her in the water. Some of the subs and vessels that are locked in the ground, God forbid if political and business and economic conditions change in their current position or hometown, it's nice to be able to have the option of casting off and moving to a new city, as of course Orlik has done, and many of our sister submarines and ships are currently now in exhibit piers that weren't the first ones that they were exhibited in decades earlier. So as long as you have you generate enough income, stow that away in an investment account for the inevitable day you need to go to dry dock. I believe, and it's just my opinion, having a ship in the water is a far more compelling and gripping example of our naval heritage than seeing something that apparently is locked in the sod. Again, we invite your comments, your opinions, your criticism. This is always a perennial great debate at the Historic Naval Ship meetings and conferences. We'd like to hear your opinion. So remember, hit the like, subscribe, notification bell. We'll be back for more. Thank you.